with Tyler, I have super fond memories. My favorite thing about Tyler is that he has such a big heart and he always knows how to make me laugh. I have so many, I can't, this is hard. Okay, so I have many fond memories growing up with Tyler. We were able to like keep our relationship into college and have fun in college together. And then Tyler would come and visit me in Philly, which was super fun as well.
No, they're good memories. They're good memories. So I think I was going to answer how we met, talk a little bit about us, how I knew Bree was the one, which I have a very distinct memory of when that was and exactly what she was wearing, what she was doing. Your sister was wearing her IU gear, and she was in her East Hartford apartment, eating a whole big bowl of popcorn, watching the Indiana's Pacers playoff game, and doing a crossword puzzle.
Yeah, it was super fun.
And so this was like she was an intern at Cigna, and I wasn't, obviously. And so, I don't know, I was just smitten in that moment. She was so funny. She didn't care at all. She wasn't worried about what she was looking like. She was just kind of herself, and I knew in that moment.
Yeah, and I think for me, the first thing that drew me into, getting to know Kyle was his sense of humor. And like I said, like about Tyler, like humor is something that's important to me, and Kyle always made me laugh and just made things more fun and lighthearted. I tend to take things too seriously sometimes, so having a partner that always makes me laugh, like even in the small moments, is wonderful.
The thing that stands out most to me that I think is worth telling on this video, I mean, our wedding was fun. It was like laid back and food trucks and dancing, and it's kind of like you guys, it's more of just a party than a formal wedding. But what I remember most is, for whatever reason, Tyler, you decided to wear a velvet blazer in South Carolina heat, and it was about 98 degrees, and I remember the giant pit stains you had through your shirt, through your jacket, giving the speech, which was wonderful. But yeah, I just remember a lot of fun from that day.
I just remember you killing it on the dance floor, like you and Tori just having the best time, just killing it. And I know you had like a super early flight the next morning, and you still like managed to bring the fun like you always do. So we were really happy to have you there.
From me, it's communication, which is like what you'll probably get from a million people. But being like open and honest with each other about what you want, your dreams, what you think about, where you want to take your life. Like I think we are very much on the same page, and that has been nothing but a good thing for us over our first 5 years.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, and I would also add on that, the longer you get to know each other, you'll change as people and just support each other through that change. You'll grow as humans, and just be there for each other. And another thing that I would add is we love to travel and we love our adventures and doing fun things with one another. But something that I've really learned in the last few years is to lean into the small moments, the moments at home, the moments like cozying up under a blanket, watching a movie with our dogs. Like lean into those small moments, those little moments that make you feel content and happy.
Yeah. And congratulations.
When we were young, we liked to go ice skating. In Tarrytown, they had a reservoir that would freeze over in the winter. And we would take a bus that would take us to the Tarrytown Lakes after school, and we would put our ice skates on and ice skate until our parents got done with work and would come and pick us up. They had 3 circles, one for skating, one for hockey, one for figure skating, and we had radio music to listen to over a loudspeaker and one big light. But for $1 a season, we got a button that we could go and skate as much as we wanted, and it was awesome. I like that my parents have remained married for more than 60 years, that they have been to umpteen countries, umpteen cities, and dealt with all the highs and lows, and still are together. I wanted to be a doctor from the beginning. People tried to make me a nurse. I took an aptitude test in high school that said that I would be an excellent flight attendant, but I was extremely angry that they were trying to force me to be a flight attendant. They wanted me to take typing so that I could be a secretary, and I said, no way, I'm taking typing. And I took every other class but typing. And when I got to college, I had to pay buku bucks to have people type my papers because I couldn't type. I always wanted to be a doctor, and along the way, many people tried to discourage me. When I took an aptitude test, they told me I would be a good flight attendant. Back then, flight attendants were actually considered like cream of the crop. The TWA flight attendants were awesome, but I didn't want to be a flight attendant. And then they wanted me to take typing to be a good secretary. And I refused to take typing in high school. And because of that, I paid buku bucks to have all of my papers typed up in college. And to this day, I still cannot type well. And even when I have to type on my electronic medical record, I curse the fact that I did not take typing. But at the same time, I felt that I would have been pigeonholed into being a secretary if I had taken typing instead of biology, physics, and calculus. And so I'm grateful I had the opportunity to take those classes and to go on to medical school. I'm an internist, internal medicine, adult medicine. My advice for the married couple is there's going to be a lot of problems. There is no marriage that goes smoothly. And you just have to weather the storm. And that is the most important piece of advice I can give you. Because hang in there and it will all be worthwhile. Good luck.
I've never had a concern in my life. She's been the rock that I could lean on. Everything's been okay because of her. My earliest holiday memory, as we're coming up on Christmas, would be the way my father wrapped our Christmas presents. My father didn't know how to wrap Christmas presents, and I still don't know if he does. But when I was a child, it was black 55-gallon trash can liners. So that's what I grew up with, and it still excites me to this day. Present's a present because it means something to me. My favorite place to visit as a child was the one I went to almost every month. It was my Uncle Chris's house. Uncle Chris was on my father's side. He ran a tugboat service, so not only did I get to see his vibrant decorations of the house in Hawaiian theme, but I got to see a different world when it came to the tugboat service. I learned a lot from him, and I miss him to this day. Oh, that's a good one. My father wanted to name me after a movie called Quigley Down Under. My original name, according to my father, was supposed to be Matthew Quigley Adams. My mother vetoed that real quick, because I wasn't supposed to be a cowboy as we see here. And I sit today, a different story. But what they decided on was Zachary, and I don't know how they got the first name. But my middle name was Kakai. And Kakai in Hawaiian means big ocean. My father met a man named Rabbit Kakai, who was the legends of surfing in Hawaii at the time. He was taught by the Duke of Hawaii and made his surfboard line. Rabbit rode our surfboards, and ever since then, that's who was the closest to our family, was Rabbit. And so I accepted the name Rabbit Kakai since I was a child. Ooh, how did I get into the career that I chose? I fell into it, actually. At the moment, I'm 24, and I'm a welder. and everything in between when it comes to construction. I got into Cuesta because I wasn't ready to leave home, and I knew that in myself. As I watched everybody leave other states, I went to Cuesta as a JC and followed that path until I got to Cal Poly. But at Cuesta College, the junior college I went to, a lot of my friends followed the welding program, and it may be a peer pressure, and it may be an interest as I learned how to weld at a younger age, fixing the dinosaurs and helping everybody out in the local area that the old man knew. I fell into that welding program, and now after graduating from the welding program with multiple certifications and degrees, that's where I'm at today. It pays the bills, it covers everything I need to, and it supports my friends as well along the way, which I'm happy to say, if anything, that I can help my friends out.
My least favorite job, I would also say, is my shortest job. I think I was 15 and I was prompted with the idea of making my own money besides babysitting. And I went to the Crab Shack and I thought I was well prepared because I had t-shirts from the Crab Shack, but promptly I walked in and was told I was wearing the wrong colored shoes because mine were white and I needed all black tennis shoes to be a hostess. And I was told to leave, and I did not ever return.
My least favorite job was also at the Crab Shack. Stuck it out a little bit longer, made it through the whole summer. Took a lunch break on my last shift and never returned. Left the last paycheck with them. But great establishment.
Yeah, I would go back to eat there.
What's brown and sticky?
Ew.
A stick.
What happens when you step on a grape? It lets out a little wine.
What's the next one?
This is so awkward. I just remember Scott, Mom, and I guess Dad was there too. And we went to visit Pennsylvania and we got snowed in. And then it was like the first snow day and it was like all hell broke loose. Shannon went missing and then Macy and I were like obsessed with like where the horses hung out being covered in snow because we were never like allowed to just go out and roam. So we roamed the horse pastures, but I think there was also horse droppings, and I think we built snow angels and snowmen on top of that and needed to be cleaned very thoroughly after.
Lovely. Uncle Butch and Susu. Miss them. They were just good people and kept everyone on their toes. Never knew what you were getting into with them. Going to, what was that place in West Virginia? Pipe Stem.
That was awful.
Ellie's 11th birthday. Stopped at the Walmart. Got her some.
Yeah.
What was-
Susu and Pop Pop were obsessed with like golfing and like going to like different golf courses, and they planned a trip on my like 11th birthday. I don't think it was because it was my birthday at all. And we got to go to Pipestem, West Virginia.
Lovely resort.
It was awful. I don't know if these
Yeah.
are good memories.
They're memorable though.
Yeah. We golfed. There was other families there. I think we were forced into like family fun activities that made us appreciate our family for being somewhat normal compared
Not
to
from West Virginia.
yeah.
Extremely competitive
and in the best way possible. Like, if someone beats me, I accept it, and that's okay. But
It won't happen again.
it most definitely will not happen ever again. I do not like losing. Yeah. There we go.
That's what it's like to have a sister number 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember Nigeria?
No.
Do you remember Canada?
No.
Do you remember getting do you remember getting your citizenship?
Barely.
But you remember, because you told me your proudest moment was passing your citizenship test.
And that lady, and I'm going to be honest with you, sometimes I don't know if it's because Claire shared her memory with me or I remembered, but the woman that was a judge came out of the courtroom because there wasn't enough room for us kids. And so they only had Nana and Sonny in the courtroom for our naturalization, right, Claire? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so these big doors opened up, and a woman judge came out. She had this black outfit on. I mean, I guess it's a normal outfit, and basically said to the 4 of us to come inside. Yeah. Is that right? Yeah. And because they filled up all of the people in the benches they filled up all these people in the benches with spectators to watch people getting naturalized. So there wasn't any room for the people getting naturalized. And so they would keep the kids outside. So that's when they said that the judge came down off the bench and said, no, these kids need to be in here. And she came out and got us and brought us in. So I think that's one of the only, like, the earliest ones I remember, and many of that's because Julie and Claire remember it really well. So.
And you had to take a test, right?
Yep.
You had to take a test. Do you remember?
Can I tell the story about the test?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when we went down for the test, which was before getting sworn in, of course, and because I was the oldest, they called me in first for the test. And, you know, I have to tell you, it was a very dreary government office and a very dreary government official behind the desk that said to me, all right, what's the first president of the United States? And I'm thinking, I was a sophomore in high school, and I'm thinking, it's got to be a trick question. I think it's George Washington. And I was like,
thinking Abraham
and I was like, I got to go with George Washington. And I went with George Washington. She goes, all right. He rubber stamped it. I was done. And I went out, and Julie, Fiona, and Karen are all lined up because they're going in next. And I said, first president of the United States is George Washington.
She gave us the answer to the test.
Right?
Because the lady asked us
Yeah.
the question.
Yeah.
Wait,
And
so
it was
the
just
lady asked all 4 of you the same question.
Right. So, you know, it was one of those things. But on that day when we did eventually get sworn in, you know, the backdrop to that was that, you know, when we moved here, my parents had nothing. And they had no safety net, no nothing. And they never had a library fine, a parking ticket, nothing. And
No, literally, we
And-
towed the line.
yeah,
We were like,
and-
do not gonna
and so what ended up
put
happening,
dimes in that meter.
right, and the idea that on the day that we were being sworn in, my mother and father are sitting in the courtroom, and they're so close to the finish line, and my mother, who is totally appalled that we're stuck outside because a classroom from Staten Island has come for a class trip,
To witness.
that she jeopardized it all by waiting for the judge. She was waiting for the judge to show up, and she went up to the judge and said, my daughters are outside. They're being sworn in, and because of this classroom of kids from Staten Island, they can't be part of this
With a
monument.
very, very Irish
And
accent. I can't
right,
even
and my
imagine.
dad, Sonny, he never, like, to him that was like the worst thing you could ever do, but she didn't care, and she did it, and so that's,
How
and
the lady came out of the door.
yeah,
and
yeah.
Said, you're coming in.
And I remember we were sitting out there on a bench, and all of a sudden the doors open, and there's black robes flying everywhere, and all of a sudden we're in the second row.
So then you got sworn in. So what was that like?
Putting your hand up.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm going to
Put
tell
your
you.
hand up.
Yeah, you have to put the hand up.
Say the Pledge of Allegiance, and that was
Yeah.
it. We're done.
So mom, you practiced. You knew the pledge.
I
of
did
allegiance?
from Transfig. They made you say it every day. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Yeah, we knew. We, you know,
We were desperate.
we looked like Americans, you know.
We just needed to not open our mouths Oh, I have one. I have one. What's Irish and stays out all night?
I know.
I don't know.
Patio furniture.
Patio furniture. Oh my God. You're like a mole. You're not supposed to.
No, I know that. I know that. What does the Dalai Lama order when he goes into a pizzeria? Make me one with everything.
I love that.
There's a story behind that.
That was so much better than vampires. Learn from your aunt.
Wait, hold on, wait. Okay, so one night I sleptwalked, and I told a joke. Okay, I walked into Gracie's room, I woke her up, and I said to her, Gracie, what does the Dalai Lama order when he goes into a pizzeria? And it's like 2:30 in the morning. She sits up, she goes, I don't know. What? And I turned around, and I didn't tell her the answer, and I went back to bed. She woke up in the morning, and she goes, what's the answer to the joke? And I was like, what joke? And she goes, about the Dalai Lama. I was like, what Dalai Lama joke? She goes, Dalai Lama pizzeria. I was like, how do you know that joke? She goes, you told me it last night. She goes, but you didn't tell me the punchline. I was like, oh. You said, make me one with everything. She goes, oh. Remember that? It was bad.
Hilarious.
It was a bad.
Oh man. Yeah, do one of the marriage questions for Mom. Oh. Yeah, this is good though.
It is good.
What was your wedding and reception like?
Well,
Mallory was there.
no, she was not. She was a babysitter.
She was in there. She was in there.
Excuse me. Your dad and I were married by a descendant of Sitting Bull.
And that's noble.
Chief Running Knife.
Yeah, and so
Right?
that and another friend who was getting eloped to her boyfriend from the USS Concord, AFS 5. Thank you.
Mallory was in here.
No, I already had Mallory. I had
Oh.
Mallory.
Wait, really?
Yes.
Wait.
Well,
Brian,
I'm fine with
Brian,
this being
go
on
get Gracie.
film, okay? So I had Mallory.
Oh.
We were
Ellie
doing all
and
that
Scott
stuff. I was pregnant.
and Zach.
So we got married. We went to London on our honeymoon. We had a great time. And right then and there, I found out I was pregnant with Shannon. But Mallory was with the babysitter. And yeah, so it all worked out. We were lucky as everything that it all worked out. So Butch had an issue because the Sitting Bull, he wasn't a matron of honor. What of those people?
Who was your witness?
My witness was the other people from the USS Concord, and they were getting married too.
Your kickball team.
Yeah. And so
I never heard that.
Yeah, no, it was
kickball
good.
team?
It was. Listen, it was the Navy. It was the 1990s, early 1990s.
What's a kickball team?
Was Scott there? Did Scott watch Mallory?
Wait, which Scott?
Scott.
No, he did that later.
Oh.
When you met Scott.
Scott who?
Scott's my favorite.
Butch's friend Scott.
Susu?
Yeah.
I miss Susu. She just passed. I miss her so much. I miss her and Butch. You know? And I miss Uncle Tom. And I miss Patty. You know, just the people that mattered to us so much, right? And just,
I'm pretty fortunate in that I have so many of the people that I really care about still around me. You know, but it's always changing, you know, and, you know, Sonny's not where he used to be. He's my father, Macy's grandfather, Shannon's grandfather. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of people that I miss, you know, people that I've lost recently in the last couple of years. And, but I think what I've learned is that it's important to really cherish those that are with you and, you know, appreciate the time you have together because it is so fleeting, right? And that's what we can do for all the people that we've lost.
Yeah, I mean, obvious choice would be my dad. Like, it was always it was always a struggle of like, it would be a very calm, collected holiday season, or if it would be very electric and chaotic and like maybe like explosive. And I've kind of learned that that was the way that it was going to be. And so I think I embraced that, and maybe now like I'm starting to miss that a little bit, but I think my family, especially like my mom's family, who married into that craziness, completely accepted that, and also I think embraced it in the way of we can still celebrate the way that we used to with my dad, and kind of keeping it very exciting. Like, we're here in Indianapolis, which we never thought we would probably be. And I think, yeah, exactly. And I think like we'll still continue to always grow and spend our time with family, like growing and becoming better people.
Yeah, there's losses, but as we move forward, we all grow together. And
yeah, I know, I agree, and I feel a little bit bad for Tyler. He's an angel. He literally is an angel sent from heaven. But he's so good, and he understands like, I would describe our family as a matriarchy, and I think that any man who's coming into it needs to like respect and understand like the perspective of a woman, and then also be able to like thrive within it. And I think Tyler is like such a shining example of that. Like, he understands, he like listens, and he just like absorbs everything that happens within our family, but he doesn't back down. Like, he is he's strong, and he tells us, he tells us what we need to hear when we need to hear it. And I think that that's so important, and I truly like see him as a brother now. And yeah, I think it's so special that we lose people in our lives, but we replace them with such special people, and I'm so excited for like our family to grow and for it to become more and more filled with these just special people.
Yeah.
It was your eyes.
Really?
Actually, yeah.
I had no idea.
Beautiful eyes.
Really? So when I walked in a room, that's the first thing you saw?
That's the first thing I saw.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, it was your personality.
What did you like? Like, what did you?
I liked that you were smart, and that you were able to, keep a great conversation, and talk about things that we had in common. We had a lot in common.
That's what I remember the most.
Yeah,
So
we both had lake houses.
Right. We love the lake. We love the water. We love boating.
Yep.
We love sunsets.
We do.
Yeah.
And I told you about my parents, and they would go.
That just warmed my heart.
Yeah. So the story is that I told Julie that my parents would go to sunset every evening and bring a bottle of wine and talk about their day. And that's something that we've carried on as a tradition.
Yeah.
And
I just remember thinking, oh my goodness, I want that. And now I have it with you. So that was really cool. And when I walked in, the first thing I noticed about you was your smile. And you're just so like warm and inviting, like I didn't want to leave the restaurant.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah. Because I just thought, this is a really great guy, and I really hoped that you were going to call me back, and you did. And
of course I did.
Yeah. And obviously the rest is history after that because we were together ever since.
We have been ever since. And it's been the best part of my life. So.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Love you.
Love you too. My marriage advice is to listen to the other person and try to gain their perspective.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, just tunnel vision.
Right.
And, live life to the fullest. I mean, love and live life to the fullest.
So for me, I think, forgiveness is incredibly important. So we're all human, and we're going to make mistakes. I've made mistakes, you've made mistakes, but it's about not ledgering those into stone.
Right.
And saying, 3 months ago when you said this, just let things go.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
So that
it's just important.
It's really important to not do that. As well as, for me, I think dating each other, continuously ensuring that the relationship is fertile. Like you're doing cool things together. You're not just stuck at home. Just date. Learn how to date and find things you love to do together, but still say one of the most important part of a relationship advice for me is still staying unique to who you are. Don't just stay true to what you love, but also do things that you love together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I agree with you on date night. We always have at least a couple of nights a week. We have date night, and we need that.
Yeah.
Reconnect.
And sometimes it's not even about going out and spending lots of money. It's about staying in. But date night can be just something we like to do together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Love you.
Love you.
Probably my grandparents, because we did a lot of Christmas events with my grandparents, and you just think about it during this time of the year.
I'd have to say my dad. Very close to my father, and definitely think of him at Christmas time. And I was named after my father, and then Tyler was also named after my father. So it's just a real tight relationship. I always laugh. I'm like, how does an Irish kid get an Italian name? Anthony, honestly, I don't know. I think it was something different. I was the fourth kid, so I think it was just something different. But they definitely connected it in with my father's name, so.
Well, we first met in college. And we knew each other, went up to a lot of the same classes. We really didn't do anything together. We just knew of each other.
Well, kind of, sort of. Our fraternity and sorority had a party that was kind of fun one night where
we did.
We got to know each other a little better.
Yes, we danced.
Yes. Yeah, so we definitely knew each other in college.
But then we kind of went our separate ways after college and did our own things, and then we joined.
Yeah, professional organizations.
Yeah,
and got to run into each other again, and
right.
went from there.
And we also spoke on a board at Indiana State University, where we went and where we met, and that's when we really got back in touch.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, her smile. That's easy. She has the best smile, and her smile in her eyes, blue eyes, and she could light up a room. And so, I remember even sitting at that panel looking over there going, wow. She always had the wow factor.
Thank you. He was just always friendly, outgoing. He was always doing something funny. Has never met a stranger. Very smart. I knew he was very smart in some of the classes that I took, and I really did appreciate that.
23?
Yeah,
23. Yeah, 23 years, yeah. Yeah, because Tori's 21, 23.
We actually worked together in Sanderson Hall, and we worked as receptionist at the switchboard, which doesn't even exist anymore. But what we would do is people would call in to the main line of the dorm, and we'd ask them who they wanted in what room, and then we would just plug it into the board and ring this little thing so it rang in their rooms, and that's what we did.
Yeah, so we operated the old toggle switches she was talking about with the cords that you'd pull out. And my favorite thing is I used to work a lot of Sunday mornings because it was quiet and I could get some study time in. and I knew my buddies that had been out having too good of a time, so I would dial a prayer, ring it a few times, and stick it into their room. And yeah, I love waking them up with the meditation that they so desperately needed. But yeah, then I did the RA thing. I did that for 4 semesters and 3 semesters. Now 4, counting the summer, yeah. So, yeah.
I swam on the swim team
At ISU.
And my senior year they dropped swimming, the swimming program, and they just recently brought it back, probably 3 or 4 years ago. So they always call and ask for money, and I said, no, not until you bring the swim team back. And now when they call, I gotta give them money.
And now I say, now what are you gonna do? So, yeah, so definitely university days were a blast. Yeah, it was kind of a fluke. I went to work out east on the East Coast, and I worked for IBM. And I remember getting a package to go interview with them, and I had no idea why I had this package. Found out that my boss, who ended up hiring me, had a same professor at a different university, and he reached out and they asked me for my resume to show interns how to write a resume, but he was really sending it out to the folks at IBM. And yeah, went out and interviewed out in DC and got the job. So, but I just remember being dumbfounded because I didn't even apply, you know. Yeah, so it was great. It was awesome.
Well, this will be really interesting for the future because it's not there anymore. And we were married at the Indianapolis 500 Motor Speedway. We married. There was a hotel there when we married, which was 23 years ago. And outside of the restaurant, you could see it was all glass, and you could see the golf course and the racetrack part of it, and that's where we were married there.
Yeah.
The hotel is no longer
different.
Yeah, the hotel
different.
Is no longer there, but of course the Indianapolis 500 is. So.
Yeah. Very memorable.
Yeah.
And it was also great because the people running the hotel would tell us all the stories about the Holman George family, and then all the different race car drivers that had maybe had a few shenanigans at the hotel over the years. So yeah, it was definitely cool, different, and fun.
And we both really enjoyed going to the 500 and the trials and practice days, those type of things. So we thought that was the perfect place.
Yeah.
Different too.
Yeah.
I mean, it was all memorable. Walking out on the golf course and seeing part of the track, you could see it from a distance, and knowing that race cars drive around there, you know. So that was one of the things.
Yeah, I would say our family and friends, just being a part of that.
Yeah.
That's what takes me back. It was a great day, and to be able to share it with all of our family and friends made it special.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, what's the future hold, right? You know, you're excited about the future, but you have no idea where it's going to take you. And sure enough, we had a little girl less than 2 years later. So.
Question: we do have. So my family, luckily, most of us live in Indianapolis. We do always the holidays up in Indianapolis at my uncle's or somewhere else. And then in Christmas, we always do it with my grandparents. And then luckily, they're 82 years old, still living, still kicking it. And we do that at their place every year. It's awesome. I am very looking forward to it. Probably Chinese. If I was going to have something, I was like, Chinese food. Chinese food's good. Florida, there's just something about when you're with people you love hanging out with, like your friends and stuff, and being also in a beach, is just something awesome about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, people you love in the place you want to be. The Ozarks, Lake of the Ozarks. I do know from day one she was the one, because Shannon's actually like amazing. She's really, Shannon's become one of my best friends in the entire world, because she is very, very caring about, like, you know, like, just, she came and she cared about me, she cared about Mike, she cared about everyone. Like, I love that about her. And then she also called me on Friday night and yelled at me, and that's when I realized that she is the one, because she's like, I'm gonna yell at your best friend for not being at the bars when I'm, yeah. So Shannon is, I'm at the Ozarks. Shannon's amazing though. if you get a strong thought about something, give it 2 days and also ask other people advice on it. Don't ever make a strong move hardcore unless you sit on it for a little bit and you get 2 more days and you talk to people about it. That's my strongest piece of advice. I'm way quieter and like spending more time alone than most people would ever guess. I'm I'm a loner sometimes. My advice is call Nash. That's good advice. Call me. If you're ever tired, Shannon, I'll come there and we'll hang out for a while and then we'll have a good time. And no, seriously, Shannon, I love you.
Favorite food by far is Mexican food. Start off with some chips and guac, then usually get a burrito or a chimichanga. Toss up between what's my favorite, probably a burrito, just steak burrito, nothing too crazy. My bucket list is to hike the Camino in Spain. I'm doing that in 2 summers. So that's always been up there on the bucket list. So I've kind of got plans to do that, so yeah. Bucket list this summer. I hiked the entire Pacific Crest Trail from Mexico to Canada, passed from April through August, so yeah, knocking them off. Yes, I'm named after my dad. My middle name is after my great-grandpa, so yeah. So I always wanted to trade commodities, so I actually went and did that for a while. So I did the past 6 years, and then I realized I hated it and was super stressed out and didn't like it, so I quit that. But ultimately, I just want to own my own business, so I guess that's been my bigger goal beyond the trading stuff. So I'm working for my uncle's company here in Indy. It's a big landscaping company. So kind of the plan is to eventually buy that out, so do that. That I was a giving, nice person to be around. So probably our Ozarks trip. That's when I first met Shannon, and Sykes said he was bringing her. I was like, oh, it's kind of a boys' trip. And then Shannon's coming with, but turned out she fit right in. So yeah, that's probably my best memory with them. So yeah, just put her foot down. Tyler's a pretty nice guy at the end of the day. She'll probably get her way. She puts up a little bit of a fight.
Start us off.
Yeah, so we both have talked about this, and something that we want to do still is to go to Machu Picchu, you know, go backpacking, like do the whole experience, climb the mountains.
Yeah, the Mayan ruins.
The Mayan ruins.
Maybe Incan, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Nonetheless.
Yeah.
It would be very cool to be up on those mountains, just go on a nice little hike.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Maybe we'll do it together.
Yes, that would be amazing.
Be something we could plan ahead of time, maybe next summer or something. All right, and then as far as what we have done, Hawaii.
Yeah.
You gotta go, man.
You have to.
I'm telling you, it is way cooler than you would think.
Yeah, when they say Hawaii is paradise on earth, it literally is. I feel like for both of us who've traveled to several different places, I don't think anywhere has compared.
It's just different, man. You're on an island, and lady, you're on an island. It's America.
Yeah.
And you're perfect weather, paradise, just awesome. Schedule a trip to Hawaii.
Friendliest people you'll ever meet.
Trust me, you will not regret it.
Oahu too.
Maybe go to Oahu your first time, Maui your second time.
Yeah.
Either way.
Amazing, just beautiful.
Well, funny you ask. So.
He took the mic.
So I graduated college back in 2015. Moved back home after graduation. Started frequenting this restaurant called Thai Spice. Tyler went there about 150,000 times with me, as did all my other friends. And I always just noticed there was just this one waitress. She kind of caught my eye. So one thing led to another. I always tip very well. Extremely well.
He likes to say he put me through college with his tips.
That's what I like to say.
Whatever.
So she caught my eye, whatever. One thing led to another. Ran into it at a bar. A couple years down the road. She happened to be with her boyfriend at the time. Offered to buy a drink for the both of them. So that put the...
Planted the seed.
And then about a year later, she hit me up on Snapchat. We decided to grab a drink at the Eagle, a block that way.
Yeah.
And then here we are.
Married.
4 years later, married.
For me, I studied marketing in college. I actually knew I wanted to go into marketing like since high school. Before I even thought about college, I wanted to do something that had to deal with psychology and how to, understand like consumer behavior and incorporate it into something creative. So I was like, okay, marketing sounds fun, and went to school and studied marketing, and I fell in love with it. It was, of all the subjects I've ever studied, I was like, this clicks with me, and graduated, and here I am, leading marketing for my company. So I still love it. It challenges me every day, and I'm happy to say that I'm able to do something I love.
Amen. So for me, went to college, knew I liked science. I was like, whatever, this is awesome. Studied biology in undergrad. Eventually found out I was decently good at it. Said, screw it, let's apply to med school. Didn't get in the first time. That was tough. Worked at Eli Lilly for a year. Got in the next year. Throughout med school, didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but was really fascinated with physiology and biochemistry. So anesthesia kind of turned out to be the perfect field for me. The thought of putting somebody to sleep, making sure they're pain-free, comfortable, just sounded amazing. And that's where I'm at right now, and love what I'm doing.
So I think our favorite place, probably both of us, to visit is Ireland, because that's where our entire family is. We used to go there all the time with all the peoples, Shannon, all them, and it was just a really great time to sort of celebrate being with family. You have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I feel like it was also just like one of the places where you would go for the summer and you would see like literally every single relative you have, and it would just be a great time. Everyone just kind of going around the farm, doing their thing, seeing people you haven't seen in years probably.
Meeting a lot of family.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of our best childhood memories come from that farm in Ireland, definitely, over the years. Because especially with Shannon, Macy, that side of the family, we definitely got to do a lot of cool stuff together growing up. Wouldn't trade it for the world, I think. So definitely our favorite place to visit. So we ended up going to college about like 15 minutes from where we were living with our parents. So at first kind of felt like we were still in the bubble, not really branching out. And I thought I wanted to be a physics major at first. Kicked me in the ass, like in the first week. Had a crisis, broke down, figured it out for a second, and then decided I wanted to be statistics and economics. Kind of had my feet on solid ground once I figured it out. And then now we're both back in grad school, one more year, doing, I guess, what we kind of love, figuring out what our next step is. So it's kind of this very short version of it, but that's, I would say, what happened.
It's kind of the same for me. I came into school sort of wanting to go into medicine, do that whole route, spend the next 8 years in school. Then I got to UVA, and I started on the pre-med track, and I said, this is not for me. I still kept with the bio major, though, but just for fun, I added in a Spanish major because it's what I love to do, and it was a nice break from all the bio of it all. And yeah, like Ryan said, I'm back again for victory lap at UVA, getting my master's in public health. I've definitely found what I wanted to do, so it was all worth it. But yeah, Ryan's leaving in May, and I leave next December. So a year from now, hopefully I'm out and I have a job and I'm living in a place that's not Charlottesville. You got it?
I kind of want to talk about Shannon and Tyler a little bit, I feel like, you know? I think we met Tyler for the first time a year ago down in Florida. Kind of the first time our family was really down there for the holidays. I remember walking into the house and everyone's there kind of mingling, eating. And I noticed a new face, so I figured I would eventually meet him. Probably Tyler. I'd heard rumblings about him. All good things, all good things. But it just kind of was crazy how well he just meshed with our relatives and our entire family without, like, he just clicked. Like, it didn't take any, like, sort of buffer time. He just dove straight in, and God bless, because this family can be a lot. And I feel like he's come to understand that.
Yeah.
But he's doing a great job, I'd say. Shannon definitely got a good one. Tyler also got a good one.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for him.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I think all of us feel the same way, and like we love Shannon so much, and we're just so happy she's found a guy like Tyler. Like Ryan said, a year ago, we just met him, and it was like he immediately just like fit right into the family, and it was like perfect. And I mean, even during Christmas, we had a trivia night, and it happened to be on my mom's birthday, and he made one of the categories all about Claire Farmer, and that was great. He actually emceed the whole trivia night, which is something about wrangling the entire Fallon family. It's really, really impressive, but we love them so much, and we're just so happy for them, and thankful we could be here and meet all of Tyler's family. But yeah.
There's two things that people don't know about me. One, I play the accordion rather badly, so I'm not going to go into detail about that. It's been a long time. But I also speak Japanese, and it's been a long time, and I was very pleasantly surprised to find out that Tyler also studied Japanese. So I haven't really explored that with him yet to understand how that came about, and I would love to at some point. And but anyway, so that's sort of the thing that people don't know about me, which leads me to one of my least favorite jobs I did when I was in Japan, because I did a semester abroad, lived with a family, and was a struggling student, always looking for ways to earn money. And I did actually get a job where I was working with Japanese businessmen, was going to work with Japanese businessmen, working on their English language, speaking skills. But I lived with a very traditional family, and the night before I was supposed to start, they found out that I had this job lined up, and felt like it was not, that I was a guest in their house, and if I needed to earn money, they would rather give it to me than see me go out and get a job. So it was kind of very much part of the Japanese sort of traditions. But so I said, well, I can't accept your money, but I won't take the job. And I was like, darn it, I need money. Well, a month later, I moved up to another family, and I was in one of the grocery stores. And because I have green eyes, which is in Japanese, the gaijin, it means green-eyed devil. Everyone, I stood out like a sore thumb. I was in a grocery store, and a woman came up to me and said, "Are you American?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Yes." And she said, "We're having an American festival in a week. Would you like to work there?" I was like, "Yes, sign me up," which I did. And for 1 week, I stood at the bottom of an escalator, welcoming Japanese people as they got off the escalator and giving them shots of Jim Beam and Jack Daniels. But I had a huge, like, Uncle Sam hat on. I was dressed red, white, and blue. And until the final day when the Mormon missionaries came down the escalator and they saw me, and I was truly the green-eyed devil to them, and they wanted to convert me because here I am giving alcohol to the Japanese people. So it was a great job, but it was a long, tortuous job, and it didn't end well with the Mormons. Dating myself, but this was in 1978. And, they were just crazy about anything and everything American. The family that I lived with in Kyoto, and I lived with them for 5 months, the very traditional family, my father there had a Lincoln Continental, okay? Now, driving a Lincoln down the streets of Japan was insane, and he owned a trucking company. I think he had questionable ties.
He was
to
Yakuza.
He was. I think he had questionable ties to the local, Japanese Cosa Nostra? I don't know.
Yakuza.
Yeah. So, so, the point is that they loved anything American. I think we've come a long way since then. As I said, it's 78, so how many years ago is that?
Oh,
I can't
easily
even count.
10.
Yeah, 40 years ago. So that's that was probably my least favorite job. I guess it says a lot because it was still enjoyable, but it was. I kind of felt a little humiliated with the Mormons because I did feel like I was doing a bad thing. But anyway, it's all good.
First, I have to say, Claire is a little bit humble about her Japanese abilities because she can still curse me in Japanese. Scientist, the way I viewed it, we met on a double-blind date. That is, Claire's sister Fiona and my sister Beth worked at the FDIC back in the...
Well, was it the FDIC or the Resolution Trust Corporation?
One of those
yeah.
acronymed federal agencies.
Yeah, okay.
In any event, they got to talking and they realized that each had a sibling who lived in New York City, was single, and about the same age. What more do you need for a match? And the reason I call it a double-blind date is you never get quite the education about what your sisters think of you when they set you up what they might view as the ideal date for you. I had that happen once or twice, and so I went with a double-blind date advice.
Yeah.
So we met on a street corner in New York City, and neither of us walked away, and that was the start of a long walk together. We got food and wine for a picnic. We went up to Central Park, sat and listened to the symphony, and apparently I was impressive enough that I got to walk her home, and then the rest is history. So.
Yeah, that's how we met. Blind date.
Double blind date. Okay.
My advice is, as it is for most things, is to use humor and listen. And I think that's real. I mean, humor's been a big part of our relationship, and we laugh a lot together.
And I think you have to realize that even though you come into a relationship with a way of doing things and thinking about things, you have to be ready to adjust and maybe change. Because I certainly have had to, and I would imagine my lovely wife has had to as well.
I was named after my Aunt Julie, Julie Fallon. She's actually here. She's behind me, and yeah, that's my namesake. So this summer, I went to Croatia. My dad was born there, so it was nice to see what the country's about. On my bucket list, I'd like to just figure life out and maybe move somewhere where it's, I think, just a walkable city. I think that's one thing there. Just move to a walkable city and experience that, I think. Because I live in a city where it's pretty dependent on cars. I like to do a lot of reading. I read a lot of books. I cook sometimes. I really do enjoy cooking. I think it's good to know recipes and understand the basics, especially whenever it comes to living in your own house.
We met in 6th grade. He put a dead bird on a stick on my windowsill when we were in 6th grade.
It was definitely love at first sight, obviously.
Let's dive into that. What possessed you to put a dead bird into?
Well, she had caught my attention out in the snow, and I was with a friend and couldn't leave it alone, so we decided we'd go down to her house, and my friend knew what room she slept in, what her bedroom was, so we decided we'd try to get her attention, and the only thing we could find handy was a dead bird. So we put it on a stick and put it in the window so she had something to remember me by in the morning.
Unfortunately, that is true.
Her snow pants. She was the first girl that was ever nice to me, so when that happened and she was nice, I decided that she was probably the one.
We didn't really start dating until we were juniors in high school. And then we dated for 6 years before we got married. So we didn't get married till after we graduated from college. But we did date that whole time, and he had a lot of ambition, and I could tell he's funny, and he's a nice person, and
Notice she didn't say anything about looks whatsoever.
I thought he had a lot of earning potential.
Earning potential. It was earning potential. The wedding was great. We
had a huge wedding downtown at We got married in a church, and then we had our reception
Columbia
at
Club.
the
She
Columbia
can't remember
Club.
the words,
Yeah.
but the Columbia Club.
Yeah, on the circle.
It was
And
great.
it
All of
was
our friends and
huge.
family were there. It was a huge event.
We had
It
a
was a
live
great time.
band and sit-down dinner. It was about 300 people. It was big. And nowadays they don't do those anymore. I mean, yeah.
It was
not,
fun. It was
not
a lot
too
of
much
fun.
anymore though. The over the top.
1989, we got married. Probably a few too many people drank a little too much champagne was the big surprise.
Yeah.
And some people that you wouldn't expect. She's always right.
No, just have fun. Do fun things. Life's too short to work all the time and just to be unhappy. Don't say I'm going to do later and next year and next year and next year, because next year might not come.
That's right. Have fun and with your best friend. That's the best advice.
Head Island in South Carolina. Went there every summer as a kid with my family. Married my wife there this summer, which you came to visit us at. Just a great place to be. Had a lot of good memories there.
Mine would probably have to be Fort Myers, because the same reason my family always went there growing up, and then now we take a vacation every spring to Fort Myers as a family to carry on that tradition.
Well, one of my high school buddies was dating a girl, and he said she has a friend. You wanna come hang out? I was like, yeah. And she's a year younger than me, so I was the 16-year-old with his license. I was the man, so we drove to Target together. We're in the parking lot. I asked her, so what do you like to do for fun? She looks at me and seriously says, I like to make out. So that's where our relationship started, at the Target parking lot.
So my favorite job is the one that I'm currently at. When I was in high school, I went to beauty school, and I want to open up my own salon, so I'm in the process of hopefully doing that. So right now I just do hair, and I'm a mom, and I'm just living a really good life.
My favorite job was in college. I was coaching football. Loved being out there with the kids, loved the sport. It was definitely a good time, very rewarding.
AT Money and Shannon, congratulations. We first met in about 8th grade in Jordan Nightingale's basement for a movie night. Then, she was with Brad Robley. They were cuddling on the ground. I was with one of my exes, and we didn't really think anything of it. But about 3 or 4 years later, we started dating after a chemistry class that we were chemistry partners in. The teacher said we had undeniable chemistry. So
Can't deny it.
So similar, both from south side of Indianapolis, went to Center Grove. I was good friends with her brother Matt. We had always kind of flirted, had to skirt the line of appropriate, not appropriate. And it wasn't until I came back to Indianapolis for med school and she was here for nursing school that we started dating. And it was one day, Mitch Mappus, of all people, Sykes, you know who Mitch Mappus is. I was scrolling past Kenzie on Instagram. I was like, gosh, Kenzie's cute. And then the next day, Mappus texted me and said, oh yeah, you should text her. So I don't know if he had some inside information or what the deal was there, but I texted her and we have been together ever since.
funny you ask, I do. Make sure you find a woman who lets you do whatever you want and doesn't give you any lip about it. Make sure you guys enjoy each other and, stay happy. Work together and be each other's biggest fans.
I think just always looking forward to spending time with each other is a good thing. Any free second that we have, Kenzie and I are trying to come up with events and stuff for us to do together, and there's always something for us to look forward to. Having something that you guys can rely on whenever you're in an argument or something. Kenzie and I have like a little memory box of different pictures, and if we're in a bad fight, we pull out the memory box and get on each other's good side again. So having something small like that can go a long way.
Well, I'm an occupational therapist. Zach's family decided to have me as a tech one summer, and so I went and teched, and I was initially going to be a physical therapist, but I saw that occupational therapy was better for me, and that's how I got into it.
I decided to go to nursing school because I always liked helping people, and I also really like babies, so now I work in the NICU.
Okay, one thing is have patience with each other and forgive each other. You're going to get annoying on each other. There's going to be stuff that one's going to do or not do, or you think they're going to do. You're human. Okay, we're all human. Forgive each other and forgive a lot of other people. It works. If you get rid of that, it can't hurt you. Live in Colorado again. Something I did, lived in Colorado. Believe me, once you get there, you never want to leave. How did I meet Fiona? I was in Denver at the office. One, her looks, then her smile. She's got a beautiful smile, and her face, and then it was her kindness. She was just kind, and kind to everybody. So yeah, that did it for me. God, I think I was 14. All right, I worked at a gas station pumping gas when they were full-service gas stations. Not a great part of town. The guy who was the owner gave me a choice of either 9mm or a 357 Magnum. Not a bad way to go, but hey, it worked. It was money. Trust me, money was everything at that time. Save up a lot. If you offer a 401k or invest, do as much as you can in advance.
Okay, so my name's Mallory Peebles. I'm the sister of Shannon, the eldest sister, so I've taught her everything that she knows. And then introduce yourself.
I'm Elliot. I am Shannon's cousin.
I was walking around Indianapolis with Scott earlier, and he got a Laffy Taffy. What is the tree that gives the best high fives? It's a palm tree.
In Greece.
Greece. I would have to say the pizza shop because I got free food. And that also goes for the general question, what is your favorite food? And I can say pizza. What do you want to be when you grow up?
A tattoo artist.
A tattoo artist. You can do my first tattoo. I will just start out by saying that I first met Tyler in Missouri with Shannon. And I think the first actual time that I met him was we went to the river and he pulled up with his guitar and Shannon just about swooned. And I was like, I feel like she's really falling hard. And I just love them and their marriage. And I'm excited that Tyler is part of the family now, along with his family.
I think Shannon and Tyler make a really good couple.
We talk about Missouri. I'd say one of the good memories I have, my favorite, is when Shannon and I went to the Museum of Weird off of Route 66. And we did see a lot of weird things. So,
one thing I just want to touch on is when it comes to family traditions and holidays, one memory that always comes back is every Thanksgiving we always have a dart tournament at our house. And for the last few years, Tyler's been able to attend that. And we've had a great time playing darts, drinking beer, doing shots of whiskey, and just having a great time. So Tyler, in the soon-to-be future, we want to see Shannon join us for Thanksgiving so we can reinvent that dart tournament with your better half.
Hi, Tyler and Shannon. This is Sherry, and my piece of advice for you is, Tyler, Shannon's always right.
I was just going to cover how Lucas and I met because it's very similar to how you guys met. I think the millennials are taking over the online dating world. So we met on Bumble, you guys met on Hinge. So, and we got married and so did you, so it must work out.
And I just wanted to add up, kind of wrap up. You've been awesome. You've always been a role model for me, somebody that I look after, especially going through high school, the challenges you went through. You're a big boy. You've always done big boy things, and I really appreciate the leadership you've always shown me. And I just want to shout out that Christmas that we got so drunk. Drank your father's entire bar. I remember it so much, and I love that memory and having you. So hopefully we can do that again very soon. You're welcome in Atlanta, and I know we talked before, but you're always welcome, and I can't wait to see you soon. Love you, man.
Cheers.
Cheers. Well, still figuring that out a little bit, but ever since I was little, I just looked up to you, Tyler, and I wanted to be everything like you. So I hope you know that to this day, you are my role model and you are who I want to be as I get older. So thank you for everything that you've done. How did I get into my career? This one actually goes out to Bree. She is the one who helped me get into web design and informatics as a whole, and that's what I'm pursuing now. And in this case, I'm really following Bree's footsteps, and I thank you so much for that.
I wanted to be a teacher, always wanted to be a teacher. I love kids. Went to college to be a teacher, dropped out 3 times. Now I work at the juvie with kids and I help kids. So basically I'm doing what I wanted to do, just different path.
I wanted to be in the Air Force, and then I was told that I couldn't because I'm blind. So instead I became a case manager and I help people on Medicaid waivers.
So on our second date, we went to Russell Dickerson concert as a country guy, and we were drinking. We were pretty drunk, and they had pepperoni breadsticks. Obviously, I'm gonna get pepperoni breadsticks. Look at my body. I'm gonna get pepperoni breadsticks. There was a lot of them. There's like probably 10 pepperoni breadsticks, and they're huge. There's a cheese cup and everything. I went to pee because I'd been drinking, and I gave her the breadsticks to hold. I was probably in the bathroom 20, 30 seconds, and I walked out, and she had eaten every single one of the breadsticks. I did not get to have any of them, and I believe I went to go get more, and they were out, so I never know how good those breadsticks could have been. But that was the moment that somehow I knew that she could eat more than me, so she could be on my playing field, so that's how I knew.
Shortly after that, like maybe a week later, we were watching a movie in his basement, and he was working a split shift at the time, so he was really tired, and in the middle of the movie he fell asleep. And instead of watching the movie, I started watching him sleep instead. And I know that sounds really creepy, but like at that moment I was like, okay, well, if I would rather watch him sleep, then that's the one for me. Like, I don't care about the movie anymore.
Started to rethink things a little bit. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I worked with kids at a school, and I was a behavior coach, but I paid like $10 an hour. And 25 years old, I needed to make more money. Someone told me about the juvie, said I can help kids and make a lot more money doing it. So went and got an interview, got hired. The rest is history.
So we actually worked together for a while. I basically did the exact same thing he did. I needed a job that actually paid living wages and worked there, and was there for 5 years, long enough for us to meet. And then because of him, I met somebody else that got me my current job. So it all just kind of fell into place.
I wanted to have a final party for Tyler before he was going off to the Army. And all my family came, and I'm not a really very good party planner. I am now, but I wasn't back then.
What was that like?
Yeah, it was like almost 10 years ago. And Jack was, how old were you, Jack, at the time? Like
3.
I would say older, but maybe not. We'll go with 3. Yeah.
I'm gonna say 3 to
So the party was not good. It rained. We couldn't do the wiener roast that I wanted, so we just had to boil hot dogs it was really bad. And my house is nice, but everybody crammed in, and I think you even said, "Why do you live here?" He walked in and said, "Why do you live here?"
Hi.
Yeah, hi, come on in. So anyway, Jack had the famous quote to his mother. Right at the end, he said, "Let's get the hell out of here."
I was mortified. I was mortified. Yes.
Did he
Because
just
it was
say
in front
that?
of my grandfather.
Yes, yes. And to this day, when we don't like an event, I quote Jack and I say, "Let's get the hell out of here."
It was a good story.
It was a good story. Yeah.
Actually, I have several stories, but I'll not share all of them today. But the one about that he said that my hand was old when he was 10 years old, and he said it was still old today. So, but we go back, and he said he wouldn't eat any turnips when he would come to the house, and he says, well, maybe when I get old, I'll eat turnips. So that's pretty much sets it up, says everything right there.
Tyler, I was asked to tell some stories about you, and man, do I have a lot of them. I could start with the tutu incident that I said I would never bring up again, and to this day I've kept my word on that one. Oh, yeah, I did get rid of the picture. Anyway, I was worried about you at a young age when you would whine whenever we would go out and cut firewood in a blizzard. I wasn't sure you were going to make it. Well, I can tell you today, there is nothing whiny about you now. And I don't know if it's the Army or Shannon, but either way, congratulations.
So one piece of advice I have for you guys is just to listen to each other and to be there for your spouse and to understand that there's going to be really hard days, but there's going to be really great days, and to remind yourself of the great days when times are hard, because marriage is the best thing ever, and you've married your best friend, and there's always a reason why for that.
Tyler, my piece of advice for you, just remember the things that you guys loved to do when you first met, and just keep doing those things. So like, we used to always like to try new restaurants. You guys mentioned rock climbing, so whenever you're going through, I don't know, a hard place or something, just go back to your roots and the things that you first loved to do when you met.
Jackson and I met on Tinder, and we were living 70 miles apart from each other, and he was driving from Ohio to Cincinnati, or from Terre Haute to Cincinnati, and at the time he drove through Indianapolis to get to his hometown, and I was on Tinder at the time when we met. I was actually, Tyler, on your mother's couch on Tinder watching a show on Netflix with her when I swiped right on Jackson, and the rest is history.
We had matched at the time until I made it to my parents' house, I think, and I opened my phone and saw that I had a match with Autumn. I was like, Indianapolis, that's weird. I don't have my my range set that far or whatever, so for us, we felt like it was just meant to be after the first time that we hung out.
My least favorite job was teaching. I was a special ed teacher, and it wasn't a job for me, and I realized that I had better ambition and other things I wanted to do, so then I got a job in insurance, and that's where I've been ever since.
I used to work at a grocery store by my parents' house, and on Saturday mornings, they would have us mop the floor in the supply room down in the basement. So it's literally just running this scrubbing machine that was like 300 pounds, and my shoulders and my legs and stuff would be sore, and I'd smell like bleach and stuff when I got home, and I'd make like $50. It was pretty awful. I don't recommend doing that.